I've been talking a lot about the new regulations that are coming because if you were watching the stream live, all right, if you're watching the live stream when Gary Gensler and the other three commissioners were actually voting to see these rules come, and other commissioners and other officers coming online and giving details on what needs to be changed, why it needs to be changed, and what's going to be the effect, the impact on that on the market. I mean, it was crazy because they used this opportunity not only to vote on these two major rules, but to increase and add so much more that are going to be just the end of shenanigans on the street. It's literally not, I mean, no kidding, the end of shenanigans. I mean, can you explain to me if you take, let's take AMC for example. Can you explain to me the FTDs, for example? FTDs fail to deliver, meaning when you play and you buy contracts on options, when you are already hitting your targets, the market maker who sold you that contract should honor his part of the contract by covering and buying the shares. But they're not doing that. So consequently, the amount of FTDs in AMC stock are not even imaginably higher than what you have on stocks like Apple or Tesla. Why? Because Apple and Tesla are stocks that are really difficult, extremely difficult to manipulate. But when it comes to AMC, things are a little bit different. And the case on AMC is just the tip of the iceberg. And that's why the SEC said, you know what, despite the DTCC rules, despite the FTCC rules, despite what other thing we started and tried to fix since the beginning of last year, all right, this is the Armageddon. This is like, the hammer, the Thor hammer that are going to just drop everything and clean the markets once and for all, because 2020 and 2021 were really two very interesting years that saw pretty much people having the ability through cheap money, all right, through what the Fed was pumping into the market to stimulus money, to do stuff underneath the table. But now that all of that is past and we need to refocus on, okay, what do we need to do in order to make the economy straight again, especially with inflation? Well, the Fed, the Department of Treasury, the SEC, the DTCC, the Department of Justice, the DOJ are now coming together because this is a system that needs to be combated. This is the system that needs to be fixed. Otherwise, there's not going to be a future for capital markets in the US. And that is the end of the economy and the world as we know it. So it was literally, okay, if we don't put this out now, it's chaos. So why is it so important? Why is this so much like this is it, folks? So I'm going to give you three main reasons. First of all, Gary Gensler used to be the one who fixed markets back in 2008. So he was coming with the reputation of being a big dog. And then hedge funds kind of made a fool out of him based on all the rules passed earlier last year and without pretty much nothing being translated, reflecting into the share price of stocks like AMC and GameStop, the meme stocks, let's just call them that. All right. So it was kind of a legacy thing for him to see exactly, okay, what do we need to do to make this thing go away? All right. And fix all of this short selling that started back in 2020 and was still lingering around, causing much more issues because shorts don't want to get out when they got squeezed. That's really the issue. And they're using manipulation, they're using corruption, they're using fraud, they're using illegal stuff like naked shorts and a bunch of other tactics in order to kind of hide stuff underneath the rug. But the SEC saw that, and that is number two. Came into the play and said, you know what, we need to make this big. That's why they kind of went with a joint venture, joint forces with all of the other federal agencies. If you look at the stream live, you can hear literally Mr. Gary Gensler say this. This was so big that we had to work with the Fed, the DTCC, the Department of Treasury, the CFTC, and a bunch of other agencies, federal agencies across the US economy, across the US market, in order to make sure that there were no loose end, there were no stone not turned around, because it has to stop. And finally, the last thing is, well, the narrative around what short sellers used to do back in back in 2020 and 2021 doesn't make sense anymore today. It doesn't make sense anymore. So why will you continue to let short sellers, actually who can disguise short orders, buy orders into short orders, or kind of park, what people are buying? Why? Just because you don't want to get out because you got squeezed? This is against the true definition of market capitalism and the market identity. So it has to be changed. So because of these three main reasons, that's why I'm so jacked. And because of that, it actually showed today on the Federal Register, not the rules that we're talking about, on reporting daily, and the definition about dark pool being regulated. This is just how quick latest rules or proposed rule changes were put on the Federal Register. It tells you how big, it tells you how fast, it tells you how bad the SEC and the other agencies are really wanting this to get out and get implemented once and for all, so that it can actually fix this once and for all. So it's not really that they care so much about the apes or the AMC shareholder. It's just that the market needed to be fixed based on some of the items, some of the events, some of the shenanigans that were happening and taking place here on AMC Stock. So based on this, that's why I labeled my thumbnail January 2022 will be just way parabolic than January 2021. Why? Because January was the month that we saw the highest number on AMC price. So when this thing starts to get implemented, and it will, it's just a matter of time, by the end of this month, we should start seeing these guys putting their kitchen in order, because otherwise it's going to be chaos. And they know that. So I don't want to throw any number out there, because I'm not God. I don't know the future. But what I know is the 72 that we saw in January of last year definitely is not the highest price we saw on AMC based on everything else we know so far. So they can play games as much as they want. It's not going to change the fact that it's a done deal, man. It's inevitable. We are inevitable.